All right, guys, how we doing? Happy baseball season to everybody. It's been 5 long months since the Red Sox took the World Series last October, and of course I was here bringing you every step of it. I'm back very briefly to celebrate this Red Sox opening day here. Gonna get the first inning in, get some commentary under my belt. Besides that, though, I don't know how much more I'll be broadcasting, but it was meaningful to me, at least, to return to the TV at least one more time. Of course, I'll be watching these Red Sox all season long. And, yeah, I'm just psyched about the Red Sox opening day, MLB's opening day. And what else can I say? This is it. This is the Red Sox time to defend the crown. Let's see what happens here. But obviously a lot of great things happening for the Red Sox last year. They got Bogarts and Middlebrooks coming up this year for hopefully, full-time roles as very impactful players. We're about to see that in action here, although I don't know if they'll bat in this inning. Let's see. So, again, they're just kind of getting things set for the game. You got the umpires who suck, but, they're back for another season, unfortunately. And the Red Sox are back as well. So, we are getting to the action right now. Sox and Orioles. And what can I say? What are my expectations for the Red Sox this year? Well, it'd be easy for me to sit here and say, oh, they'll win another World Series easily. But obviously it's not that easy. I mean, no one's repeated as a World Series champion since the Yankees did in the 98 to 2000 season. The closest we've seen is the San Francisco Giants winning in 2010 and 2012. So nobody's really won back-to-back seasons. The Phillies also made it to the World Series, I neglected to mention, in 08 and 09, but did not win in 09, obviously. But without further ado, let's present these 2014 Boston Red Sox, seeing that they can do what no world champion has done for the past 14 years, and that is repeat. Daniel Nava is taking the dish to start things off here against Pat Tillman of the Orioles. And I know you might not be able to see it on the camera, but the HD very crisp as always. Of course, the sunny weather has helped. You can see the reflection of the stadium in Nava's helmet. Now I'm going to stop making general aesthetic observations and get ready for the first pitch of 2014. Here we go. The delivery from Tillman. Nava ready. It was a good pitch. I might have swung at that, but strike one all the same. So Nava takes strike one. Last year he was 303 hitter, very surprising for a guy who hadn't started that many games prior to that. 12 homers, 66 RBIs. So Nava made a bit of a name for himself, seeing if he can keep it up this season, as he shows some plate discipline there, taking ball one. Tillman on the mound for the Orioles, of course, their de facto ace from last year, and we're going to see here, because the Orioles are expected to be improved as well. In fact, pretty much every team in the AL East made improvements. The Red Sox didn't necessarily make dramatic improvements, but maybe they didn't need to. As they check over at third, he did not go, so says the umpire, and it is 2-1 to Nava. Once again, so as I was saying, the Orioles expected to be better. The Yankees, of course, stealing the Red Sox center fielder Jacoby Ellsbury, as well as several other pieces to try and make this year's Yankee team more competitive. We'll see how that works out as Nava fouls one off, 2-2. The Orioles, adding Nelson Cruz and Ubaldo Jimenez, just a couple of their big additions in the offseason. And the Orioles weren't a bad team last year, so this should be an interesting race. Of course, you can't forget about the Tampa Bay Rays, and maybe the Blue Jays will take a step forward this year. Who really knows? But of course, today, all about those Boston Red Sox. And Daniel Nava, 2-2 against Tillman and the Orioles. All right, staying alive. Of course, the Red Sox have been known for the past several years, especially last year, for wearing down pitchers, putting together long at-bats. Sometimes to the chagrin of even myself, as they take pitches that I think they shouldn't take, and, we spend about 12 pitches fouling them off. I mean, I don't care, as long as you don't care watching. So, 2-2 to Nava, and the pitch fouled off again. So, like I said, should be an interesting Red Sox season this year. I may or may not be around to broadcast more of it. I'm sure you guys don't really care either way. You're going to watch the Red Sox games if you're a Red Sox fan anyway, and whatever team you're a fan of, you'll watch those games. So, I don't think you really need me sitting here telling you my opinions on everything about baseball and whatever else. That said, let's see how Nava does here. Yep, ground ball to the pitcher, and that's going to be an easy out, and he is retired for the first out of 2014. Well, at least you got that out of the way early, right? Just, first out, first pathetic ground out to the pitcher. Out of the way. Good job, Nava. Now, no one else can say they were the first out of 2014. That's all Daniel Nava. Coming up next for your Boston Red Sox, I'd imagine, is Dustin Pedroia. Second baseman, of course, known for his grit and his 8-year contract extension last year so that he will remain a franchise player for the Red Sox for many years to come. He only had 9 home runs last year. However, he did have 84 RBIs, which, if I'm not mistaken, is a career high or close to it. Pedroia, of course, as we later found out, suffering from like a wrist injury for most of the year, but he still batted .301, still very respectable. Wasn't as effective in the postseason, but again, Red Sox getting it done. So, Red Sox in their first game, of course, hoping to get off to a good start as Pedroia takes strike one. 1-1 the count in the first with 1 out. Just like to point that out. Ones across the board as Tillman prepares to deliver his next pitch. David Ortiz on the on-deck circle, swinging that bat, getting ready to go. Of course, when you're a DH, that's really all you have to do. Pedroia taking a swing at a high fastball, as he is known to do, fouls it off, and it is 1-2 to Pedroia. Pedroia's career against the Orioles, well, he's been batting .322 with 12 home runs and 71 RBIs. 11 stolen bases is nothing to sneeze at either. And really, they were going over the numbers for some of the Red Sox against the Orioles, and there were some very good stats all around, especially for Jon Lester, today's starting pitcher. Curveball, and that is into right field, the base hit. First base hit of 2014 for the Red Sox. Pedroia is now batting 1,000, just like to point that out. So let's see if Ortiz can do some damage here as the Red Sox get their first guy on. Nice swing on a very tricky-looking curveball. Hits it right on the nose. I'm not a baseball broadcaster, so, by no means am I expert at this. Although last year did give me quite a bit of experience, although those of you who might remember, I was usually more angry or frustrated than anything. It's hard for me to remain emotionally flat in any situation. Speaking of which, one of my favorite players, David Ortiz, coming up to bat. 30 home runs last year, 103 RBIs. Going to see if he can duplicate that performance. That was a good pitch to swing at, taken for a strike. Beautiful day there in Camden Yards. I wouldn't know. Here in Connecticut, it's not snowing now, but it was snowing earlier for a brief time. The skies are still pretty gray and boring, but the Red Sox game looks pretty good right now, although I just saw a lot of bugs in front of the catcher. Bugs. 0-2 to Ortiz. A lot of two-strike counts. But like I said, they worked the count, so maybe he'll foul off a few, take some balls. Maybe we'll be sitting here in another 20 minutes talking about Ortiz's at-bat. Yada, yada, yada. So here we go. First inning action from Camden Yards. 1 on, 1 out, and Ortiz takes time out. Or someone did, I don't know. A lot of these things, baseball, a lot of complaints about how baseball games are too long. That's probably why. That's one of the reasons why. Is because of just random things like batter will take a timeout, the pitcher will take a timeout. We'll just kind of sit and reset a million times. But, that was way too high to be a strike. 1-2 the count. That's usually the pitch that gets Ortiz out to that high fastball. He usually tries to swing through it before it goes out of the zone, and by the time it's in the catcher's mitt, he's already on his way to the dugout. But not this time. So, 1-2 the count to Big Papi. Pedroia on first. And the delivery from Tillman is forthcoming. Ortiz fouls that one off. Very similar to the pitch before, the high fastball. So we're seeing some disciplined Red Sox hitting. Not too surprising. Working the pitch count. Got Pedroia on first. Not exciting baseball necessarily, but effective, as we shall soon say, hopefully. If Ortiz could be half of what he was in the World Series, he'd still be batting like .350 because he was incredible in that World Series. And swing and a miss. Ortiz goes down with the first strikeout of 2014. Tillman rings him up, and it's going to be up to Mike Napoli if we are to continue here in the first. The Mika pitch zone details it a little more clearly. Swung out that fifth pitch, slightly out of the zone, but, can't really blame him. Other hitters, Stephen Drew, would have taken that one, and we would have been sitting here for another hour, so... Ortiz is out number 2, and that brings up the bearded Mike Napoli. Still got that beard going. Looks a little thicker. Mike Napoli, in addition to having the beard, always has his Red Sox jersey, like 2 or 3 buttons undone. I don't know. Maybe it just keeps him cool. Not that it's that warm out. Oh, that was a low strike call. We'll have to see that one on the strike zone if they show it. Umpire's making another brilliant call. Oh, one other thing about this 2014 season is, of course, the addition of replay on more plays than just home runs. So we'll see if that comes into play during the season, of course. Any chance to prove the umpires wrong would be fantastic. as much as I love a good manager-umpire argument. So here we go. Mike Napoli trying to keep this inning alive. Got his reflective orange sunglasses on. And it's 0-1. That's a strike. That looked more like a strike. So it's 0-2 to Napoli. This is about as good a time as any to mention that Napoli struck out a ton last season. At one point, it seemed like he was striking out 3 or 4 times a game. And I don't know if he set a record, but there was a time when the Red Sox were sitting him more often just because he was striking out so much. There was really no point in throwing him out there so many times. That said, here comes the 0-2 pitch from Tillman. Well, he swung at one that I thought might strike him out, and he fouls it off instead. So 0-2. Keep working on Tillman. You figure if a pitcher usually goes 100 pitches in today's MLB, if you can get 20 pitches an inning, you're already working him out of the game in the 5th inning, even if he's having a good outing. So certainly Tillman only gave up the single. He's not having a bad outing, and he could get Napoli out, but he's already thrown 19 pitches. And this will be the 20th, regardless. And he swings and misses. Oh, Napoli, after I gave you credit for the last pitch, you do the same thing I thought you would do. Well, that is Red Sox baseball for 2014. Obviously, there's a long way to go, but hope you enjoyed this kind of first inning commentary. We all would have hoped for something more exciting, but as soon as they turn the camera off, the Red Sox will get a grand slam or something. So, happy baseball season to everybody, and let's go Sox.